Hey there, REM Welcome to Rules of Cool, where we interview very special guests, creators, game developers, and world builders. I'm your host, Rem, and I'm coming to you from Nashville this week, and we're going to chat with the returning guest, Danny Oliver, who is the creator of the steampunk fantasy graphic series Coddlesworth's Clockwork Circus, which issue 2 is currently live and over 50% funded on Kickstarter. So we're going to talk all about that. Our giveaway for this week is going to be a physical copy of issue 1 of Coddlesworth's Clockwork Circus. So that'll be yours if you type in hashtag RemPC into the chat for an entry to win for free. Or you can head on over to remalternus.com/nuyen for bonus entries to win. Your support helps pay our cast and crew to keep producing content on this channel, so we really appreciate it. But now let's get straight to our special guest. Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with my friend Danny Oliver, and we're going to talk all about Coddlesworth today. Danny, welcome back.
Oh boy. Hey, thanks for having me.
It's good to have you. I know we talked fairly recently about Coddlesworth, but I thought with the Kickstarter going live, it would be a really exciting time to kind of circle back, see what happened in issue 1, talk about issue 2, and get people as excited as we are.
Absolutely. I'm excited. I'm just really excited.
Yeah, we are currently at $2,785 and 45 backers, 27 days to go. Today is actually the last day for the early bird rewards as well. So you get an early bird discount if you pledge today. So head on over if you haven't to remalternus.com/kick and back the Kickstarter. But what we're going to start with today is last time we met, we talked a lot about the world of Caelifus. So can you summarize what this world is like?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a world. It's like similar to ours in terms of like size and climate, etc. There is a very large continent in the southern hemisphere that was hidden away for thousands of years, ever since the tropy cataclysm that happened many years ago. And then there are the empires on the continents surrounding that have kind of been developing since that time into a sort of industrial age. So it's a steampunk sort of world, but this recently revealed continent, they haven't had that same development, and they've also had access to magic, which the rest of the world did not. So they have a different technology going on. And so now that is kind of opened up, and that's the setting of our world, as these two very different places are learning about the other parts, the other half.
So the take on some of the typical fantasy and D&D races is really interesting, how you kind of spin those for this world. So can you tell us about some of the origins for these races and what they're up to now?
Yeah, so for the purposes of our story, everything kind of starts 3,000 years ago. Anything before that, people don't really know what happened, right? The historians and the archaeologists and stuff, they might guess at the prehistory, but they don't know. And so in the world, we mostly have humans, gnomes, dragonborn, and orcs are the majority races in the empires that have been kind of operating over the past several millennia to get to this point of steam technology. On the continent itself that was recently revealed, you've got mostly halflings. Elves are an unknown. They do exist, but at the point of the cataclysm, they actually just went ahead and removed themselves from the planet. to another plane of existence. And so part of the story kind of details what's going on with them and how they're coming back. And then the dwarves have been sort of just hidden away, doing their own thing. It's important for me that all of the standard sort of Dungeons and Dragons races were represented in the world so that folks could just have the player's handbook and any materials, supplemental materials that they have from us to be able to play everything from that the player's handbook.
Whoa. You're saying play in the player's handbook. I thought this was a comic book series, Danny.
It is. So this story is it's inspired by all of the Dungeons and Dragons and other role-playing games I've played over the course of my life. And I started a long time ago. Through various ritual and arcane practices, I have managed not to look my age. But I started playing Dungeons and Dragons in the 80s. So yeah, a long time ago. And in that time, there's just been so many stories. And so a lot of those stories are the inspiration for this book, which means it is rooted in Dungeons and Dragons. And so in addition to, I mean, I'm doing all this work world building anyway. Let's make a playground for people.
So we've got the graphic series, and then also you can play in this world from home as a D&D campaign.
That is the intent. So I've got World Anvil, so there's a lot of information there. But I don't think it's enough for people who really want to play in the world. Right now the focus is the graphic series. As we go through the graphic series, if it reaches a level of let's say popularity that there's enough funds coming in to then pay for writers and other creators to start helping to build off on those parts of the world, then that's what I want to have happen. And I eventually do want to have sort of like a core setting book. This.
So back to just the graphic series. Tell us a little bit about who Drum and Amari are. Who are they, and what happened to them in issue 1?
So Drum and Amari are essentially our protagonists. They are the characters that we are, for the most part, going to follow through this series. And they are a pair of halflings, and they come from the aforementioned continent that had been locked away. And through a series of events, Amari, who is a neurodivergent character, she has come into possession of a very ancient tome. And they don't know what it is. They do know that people want it, and bad people want it. And so they are trying to not only keep this from those people, but also they are trying to decide to figure out what's up with this tome. From the tome, Amari apparently gets powers. And Drum is in their culture, a storyteller who their job is not only to keep the myths and legends of their heroes alive through the art of storytelling, but also to encourage new heroes to find their place and to go on their hero's journey, so that there are new stories for storytellers to tell. And so Drum has, through her friendship with Amari, has determined that there's something going on with Amari, and that this is a story that needs to be told and to happen. And so she has taken it upon herself to be Amari's guide and, blind leading the blind, leave the continent and try to find a way to learn what they need to learn in the rest of this world, which is as foreign to them as their lands are foreign to the people that have not been able to visit them.
Okay, so Drum and Amari have left the continent of Elam, where they're from, with this book to try to figure out what's up with that. And so
Exactly.
Where do they head first in issue 1?
So we start issue 1. They have landed, they have docked in the city of Miracle-Dashta. It is a port city of the desert kingdom of Vaishan on the eastern coast, and they're just blown away by the amount of people, by how everyone is just rushing around, the sights and the smells, and they realize that they need to figure out first where they're going to stay, and in doing so, discover that they need currency, the local currency. This is a concept that is not entirely alien to them, but not one that Drum was necessarily expecting. In heading out to find some currency, they do have means. They are essentially mugged. So hey, day one, welcome to the world. You're gonna get mugged. They make a good showing for themselves. However, they the guys that are mugging them do get the upper hand until someone comes in and actually assists them. And this introduces us to the first two characters from the circus who appear at the end of issue 1.
Awesome. And I think we're going to talk a little bit more about issue 2 and some of the players we might see there. But what can we expect from Drum and Amari in issue 2? So they're saved by these two figures at the end of issue 1. What next?
Well, they're going to follow these figures, of course. And issue 2, where issue 1 introduces us to Drum and Amari. Issue 2 is really about showing everybody the titular circus. So in issue 2, they are taken to the circus. We're going to see kind of their perspective of the show, of what the circus is kind of about in terms of the performance and all the people that go to see it. And then afterwards, they are invited to speak with the proprietor of this circus, the Lady Coddlesworth, who is the proprietor of the circus. And during their discussion, events will transpire in which the sort of importance of the book and that people are after it become really apparent to Lady Coddlesworth.
Cool. Okay, neat. So talking through Drum and Amari and their journey from issue 1 to issue 2, for our audience, issue 1 is available actually right now for pay what you want, also free on Drive-Thru Comics. So you can head over there and look for Coddlesworth's Clockwork Circus and get your free copy, or you can join our mailing list for all the news on Coddlesworth. And the mailing list will get you a free copy of issue 1 as well, so you're ready and caught up for issue 2, which is now on Kickstarter. Cool. So you kind of touched on this a little bit. What can you tell us about who is Coddlesworth or Lady Coddlesworth, and what is this circus all about?
So the circus itself, it's a traveling circus. Majority of the circus, the idea behind it is that there's a lot of like clockwork automatons, like steamwork robots and the like that they use in the performance. And there are very few, in fact, there's only 3 actual flesh and blood performers for the circus. And then there's also just the sort of support that makes sure that the circus runs. So you have your performers, but like all of those automatons, those have to be built and maintained. There is they transport all of that in an airship. So they have a crew that's manages the airship. They of course have all the roadies that have to put up, and construct the circus when they're at location and then take it all down. And geez, what else? Yeah, that's they have all of these people that are involved with the circus. And in addition to that, Lady Coddlesworth herself is, we find out that she's a sort of an aristocratic figure who is making use of this circus for uh, her own means, and that kind of go beyond just having a fun and sort of whimsical circus to sort of travel around the world with. And so we learn more about that because she's very interested in Drum and Amari. She learns that they have a very strong control of magical ability and magical powers. And she is very interested in what's going on with the book, to the point that Drum perhaps maybe doesn't trust her all that much at first. But Amari is absolutely enthralled by the circus. And
Oh,
ultimately, Drum's supposed to be there for her.
well, and so we're getting some conflict there. Uh, but I can see like Lady Coddlesworth's interest because up through now the world except for Elam has been steampunk powered, has that technology, but magic is very new to this world. So if you imagine like our world suddenly getting magic, like, yeah, who wouldn't be interested, right? Like,
Right,
so there's
absolutely.
definitely, yeah. So seeing some of that play in is super interesting. Cool. So other than Lady Coddlesworth, who are some of the major players in the circus that you keep referring to?
Well, I think we'll talk about one, two, we'll talk about three more. So Lady Coddlesworth, she is the proprietor. And you can see her on the cover of issue 2. That's up on the screen now. She is on the uh, left-hand side, about in the middle. And that's Lady C. Then we have center stage on that cover there is the governor is kind of his stage name. Um, he is the ringmaster of the circus. And he also is one of the two characters that appeared in issue 1. He's the ringmaster. He's very, he's an athletic sort of fella, um, good with, good in the fight. And he doesn't speak much. He is a mute character. He does hear, he is hearing, but he is mute. And one of the things that we are doing is looking for folks to help us in making sure that we can convey some sign language through the comic book panels in the issues where he has something to say.
Super cool.
And yeah, and then on the horse we have Rodeo, and she is one of the other performers in the circus. And as you can say, the or as you can see in previous in the previous issue and here is she's that sort of rodeo performer. So she's good with the rope. She's good. She's a crack shot with a pistol. She's a good rider. And all of these skills kind of not only come into play in the circus, but will come into play in their other activities. And then the fourth character that I'll mention is introduced in the second issue, and that is Nikki. Nikki is a gnome, and she is a genius savant when it comes to crafting the robots and automatons for the circus. And so she is their lead inventor. She makes all the machines. She keeps everything up. She has an assistant, and she is one of the key players in the circus. So
Cool. Yeah, I haven't heard much. You said her name is Nikki.
Nikki, indeed.
Awesome. Um, yeah, I haven't heard about her yet, so I'm very excited to learn more. When I saw her picture, she kind of reminded me of like a Kaylee figure from Firefly. So having that kind of strong female uh, work with your hands type.
Yeah. And she is also exceedingly ADHD. And it's an opportunity for me to sort of like tell the story of some of like my struggles with ADHD, and how in an environment where your challenges are not looked down on, but instead the strengths that you possess are encouraged, and the way that you process is encouraged, how you can actually thrive.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that was very exciting when you approached me about partnering with REM, was not only is this story really interesting from a steampunk fantasy, good story, yay, but also the diversity, and not just racial diversity, but also, you know, neurotypical versus neurodivergent, and different ableism versus disableism, and things like that. And playing with a lot of those conversations is really interesting and much needed. So that was one of the things that was exciting to work with you on.
Yeah, and one of the great things about that is it has I've met so many people because there's things that I know and I can write what I know, and there's things I think I know. But really, if you want to write about something and really give it the respect and attention it deserves, you have to reach out to people and find out what their experiences are like, and then kind of run some of your characters and ideas past them so that they can say, hey, yeah, that's real, or hey, that's actually kind of problematic, or what have you. And it's been really great to work with people, and I've learned just so much.
And the fact that we just went through, let's see, four, five, six main characters, and one of them is male, or male representing. So that's really cool as well to see some like strong female casts that are like the protagonists together of a story. And I know as well that when the issue one cover was released, we had a fan, our biggest fan of Coddlesworth. You want to tell that story about that? It was a feel good moment,
Oh,
so I thought you might want to share that.
yes. So a friend of mine, um, she is Mexican, and her daughter, at the time, she's actually so much bigger now because it's been a little bit of time. But I guess when you're like between like 8 and 12 or whatever, you grow like 5 feet or something. I don't know. Um, but at the time, yeah, her mother actually shot me a message and said that as soon as she saw the cover of the book, she said, "Hey, that's someone like me." Um, and we don't think about how, especially when you are someone who is so represented, right? And there's nothing necessarily to say anything's wrong with that. Uh, but we don't tend to think about how important it is to see that representation and to feel represented. And it's when, it's if that gets taken away, then you notice. So, of course, being able to see yourself in the characters of a movie or a story or just anything that you love, I think that's really important.
Awesome. So one of the most frequent comments we get is about how gorgeous and detailed the art is.
Oh
Um,
God.
I know that Boban doesn't make appearances, but why don't you tell about Boban and how you met and came to work together, and some of the work that he's done?
Yeah, Boban is Slobodan Jovanovic. He's a Serbian artist, and he is. I mean, if you look at the comic, there's just his style is very strong and bold line work and a lot of detail. When you look at different styles of comic, they range from very very simple uh, and very artistic. Pardon me, artistic and gets the point across to stuff that's very much told by the colors. And then you have Boban, who's very strong line work and different styles for different stories. They're all amazing in my opinion, and I love art. But but yeah, I had kind of fallen in love with just commissioning artists. So my first commission to commemorate my son's first role-playing game character for Shadowrun, which is one of your favorites, was a troll hatchet man named Tons for the amount of damage he can both dish and take. And so I actually managed to commission John Zalesnik to do a character piece for him, a painting. And just the process of working with a professional artist and seeing like the process from beginning to end, I just really love that. And later on, I talked to John again about commissioning a piece for a Shadowrun campaign that was the first campaign that I completed in like a decade or so. And then whenever I can, I just try to reach out to artists. And, and John Zalesnik, of course, is a very prestigious fantasy and sci-fi artist. He's done a lot of cover work for like Shadowrun and Palladium's Rifts, et cetera, and just a lot of other work. But there are artists at every level and at so many price points that, if you want to get some art done, you could find somebody that will work with you, and getting to go from point A to point B is brilliant. So Boban, that's what happened with Boban. I was looking to celebrate the end of a Dungeons and Dragons campaign and to get a piece that we could put up. And in searching, I happened upon an artist who I really liked this bold style. There's a lot going on, and it was really good for this sort of like ensemble piece that we were looking for with several characters. And honestly, if I were to point at the weakest of his pieces in terms of like these ensemble Dungeons and Dragons pieces, it's the one I wanted, because we limited him in how he could like position everybody and put everybody together in that. So the I don't know, there's an art word for it that just popped out of my head. But the way that you kind of place all the different parts into the image. So yeah, when I decided I was going to work on this book, I kind of just hit him up in an email and said, "Hey, do you do like comic work, like sequential art?" And he said yes. Pointed me some other stuff he had done, and we started working on issue 1. Started getting some concept art down and everything, and yeah, the rest is history from there. And now it doesn't feel like I'm commissioning him to do the art. His ideas and his knowledge, like I said, the weakest of his ensemble pieces was the one that I asked him to do, because I said, this is how everything's going to be. And so he has a lot of input into how that's going to be. So I'm telling the story. I put together a storyboard. He gets it. And then he tells me all kinds of things like, yeah, got like 70 panels on this page. You can't put 70 panels on a page. And I'm like, oh, no, they're little panels. And he really helps make sure that the story feels alive and pops. And I just feel so grateful to have him as a partner in creating this.
Awesome.
And he doesn't do appearances. Yeah, he has told me that, like many of us creators, there's a lot of anxiety about getting in front of something and talking about your work.
Sure. Yeah. He'll be the legend, mythical legend that we all know exists but have never seen. So tell us about your colorist and other collaborators on this project as well.
Well, honestly, I wish I could tell you more about them, because, of course, for the colorist, Kurt Michael Russell, we've only really been able to employ him to do the covers, because absolutely we're going to do color covers. We're just not going to not do color on the covers. But we haven't been able to really afford paying to get the rest of the books colored. So we have some pages that are in color just as a proof of concept. We have some of these pages that you're seeing right now, they have color in them, but those are like Boban put that color in to kind of showcase what that might look like. So the color is almost twice again the cost of the entire comic would be to get it colored. And that is something I desperately want. And hopefully we can get to a point where our Kickstarters are, bringing in enough that I can not only fund the next book, but also pay to get pages colored. At the end of the day, like, this is not a means for me to make money. This is a means for me to tell a story I want to tell and to make sure that the people who are involved are compensated the way they need to be. So yeah, he's a great colorist. He's worked on a lot of comics. He's very experienced. Matt Krotzer is our letterist. And when we first sent out our review copy of issue 1, kind of across the board, one of the things people said was like, hey, the lettering here it's functional. It works. And when Boban had done all of the lettering, that was one of the things he said to me. He's like, you need to get a letterer. Like, I can do it, but you need to get a letterer. And you don't realize how important it is to have people that are just kind of experts in these various parts. And so Matt, he fixed anything. He made like a lot of the like effect lettering that pops a lot better. The font choice and just everything. He's also the person who made the now trademark Cottesworth Clockwork Circus that goes on all the covers now. I think we had for issue 1, there was like an old mock-up on that one, which I'm gonna like go scour the earth and like delete all copies of that version of the cover, because we have the one that's right. Anyway, so he did that, and he also was able to put in a note into the lettering that lets us know when someone's speaking another language, because we do have a lot of different languages that will be spoken. So those are the people who are responsible for how the book looks and reads and the story. And then for issues 1 and 2, our editor was Janelle Aslan, who has moved on to work for American Girl now. So, we really learned a lot from her, and we're excited for her to go to this next stage of her adventure, but sad to lose her for our purposes. So we will be finding a new editor for issue 3 going forward.
Fair. I mean, good to rise and have success and have that name on the first 2 books. You had said she has done work for Marvel and DC as well.
Disney and DC.
Disney and DC, that was it.
Yep, and her own imprint. Yep.
So that's super cool that we got to work with her, even if it was brief. And I'm sure we'll find someone just as talented and wonderful that believes in this project as well and wants to help bring it to life for the next issues. So how do you organize all of your world building mechanics? Because like you mentioned, there's the 7 continents, there's cities in all those continents, there's all the languages you're creating. Like, how do you organize this world?
What is this word you keep using? Organize. Not easily. So as I mentioned before, I have ADHD, and organization is like my weakest sort of stat, I guess. So I have like the overarching, big pieces in my head, and I am using like World Anvil to try to create as much as I can. Now, what that looks like for me is it's very piecemeal. It's as I need stuff, I'll start to enter it, and then I'll start to rabbit hole. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say you're going into a town, and then I'll say, all right, I need to make this town up real quick. And then of course the town has a sheriff. So then I'm like working on the sheriff, and then I'm like, where did the sheriff come from? And now I'm like working on another town in another place, and I'm way over here now. And that just happens again and again and again before I like bring I got to come back to this. The good thing about that is there is a lot of a framework for a lot of content. The bad thing about that is that sometimes in the time I need it, I don't delve deep enough into the stuff I need. But it is all going on World Anvil, which is a great a sort of wiki style place for people to kind of go and look at the information, because you can it's got all the prompts there. It has in-article links that link to the other articles. All that stuff can be built in. And eventually, when I have enough of it done, I'll get someone to go in and make it look super nice too. But it's brilliant. Maps go in there, and then you can kind of like poke around on the map. And if I put it in, you can like click on another country, and then boom, it'll take you there. And so World Anvil is where I do most of the so-called organizing of my world building.
Awesome. So I see Tom, our tech person, has just updated to show our URL for the Kickstarter again for issue 2. So for those just joining us, welcome. We're talking about Danny's steampunk fantasy graphic comic series, Coddlesworth's Clockwork Circus. Issue 2 is live right now on Kickstarter, and the early bird pricing ends today. So head over to remalternus.com/kick to check it out. Also, if you would like to catch up on issue 1, the PDF is currently free on Drive-Thru RPG or Drive-Thru Comics, which is pay what you want, or you can join our mailing list, which will drop in the chat here in just a sec. And our mailing list joining that, you'll get all future news about Coddlesworth and everything else we're working on. And you get a free PDF of issue 1. So check all of that out.
And if
now,
I
Danny,
may,
go ahead.
Sometimes when you go on a place where it says pay what you like, and you feel like, well, I don't really have the funds, or I can't be like just buying it, but I also feel bad paying $0. Let me just say that if you pay $0 and then you read the comic and then you come back and leave an honest review, I'm not review fishing for 5 stars or nothing, leave an honest review, I will consider that an even trade.
It's awesome. Yeah, thank you for that, because those reviews really help us get more visibility. And like you were saying, it all kind of comes together where hopefully eventually we have enough followers that as we put out future issues, it pays for color, it pays for the next issue, it pays all the contributors that are putting their time and energy into this. So
Absolutely.
It does still help. Thank you. All right. So next up, I'm hoping that we can do a little bit of chat interaction here because you have created a ton of languages for this world. How many languages have you created so far?
9 languages, and they're all still works in progress, but 9 languages and 1 alphabet so far.
Cool. So what I would like to do, if possible, I'm going to buy time if you don't have the website up. I hear the clicking, the angry clicking begins. But
Yes.
chat, why don't you ask us for something to say in one of our languages? Why don't we do Ishani, since that's where Drum and Amari are right now, which is the continent of Vaishan. They're in the city of Merkildashta. And let's find something to say.
Like before we leave this hotel room,
in Ishani. So we have one recommendation for welcome. Oh, welcome to the surface is just a response. Thanks, Billy. But we can start with welcome to the circus and see what else gets us there. So Danny, how would one say welcome to the circus in Ishani?
Let's find out what welcome to the circus in Ishani is. Give me a moment.
Sure. And put any other ideas in the chat. We can spend a couple minutes playing the language creator because it is super fun. While we're buying time for Danny as well, there's a familiar that my character has. We haven't talked about like Clockwork yet, but her name is Little Fighter, which translates to something longer than Minya, but I shortened it to Minya. So Minya is Little Fighter in my gnome's home language. I'm going to sneeze. Okay, no, I'm not. I just had to warn you guys. So Danny, what do we have? You are muted. Okay.
It is Banyaj Payens. So Banyaj,
Banyaj
welcome.
Paez.
And then Jens is just circus.
Again.
So welcome to the circus. And Shani doesn't use articles. So it's literally
Cool.
welcome to circus. And then we use context to figure out exactly what we mean. But yeah,
Cool.
Banyaj Paez.
Banyaj Paez. I like it. Cool.
This isn't the book you're looking for. What are you doing?
They might need that. And he is doing the typing. I love the suggestion, Billy Berserker. Thank you. The languages are just fascinating that you can create these languages and really have like built lexicons of words. The internet is a powerful tool, and so is the AI technology and everything else that goes into this. What do we got, Danny?
Okay, this is Fea Seyuf Abd Dira Zox Ant.
I can't repeat that. Try it again.
Fea Seyuf Abd Dir Ozas Ant.
Fea Seyuf is, I got the first part, I think. Fea Seyuf?
Yeah. Fea Seyufabs is the first. Yeah. So this is not the book. And then Diro Zoseant is that you're looking for.
Dira Zoseant.
Yes. Good job.
Ah, that's so hard. Especially when you can't see it.
Yes.
Awesome. Yes. So you can actually head on over to the World Anvil that Ava has dropped the link in the chat a couple times for here. And there is a tool through there that you can go play in these languages, right, Danny?
Yes. And right now there's about 4,000 words, which is really not a lot. I often find myself coming across instances where I don't have a word yet. And it's interesting because like not all words are just going to be like, oh, well, what's something that works in the sound of the language? Because words come from places. And so trying to figure out maybe how a word is built it becomes part of it. What I am doing right now is I am trying to set up a process to get me up to about 12,000 words. And that has been a project I've kind of been working on and off for a little bit of time. And this project enables me to sort of like take root words, roots that don't exist anymore, and also like technical words and other words that I can then share with people so they can like use this to sort of decide and plug and play. Like maybe if they don't need any technical words, they can just remove that whole part, but then run this through their language as well.
Cool. So thank you for playing language games with us.
Yes, super nerdy stuff. That's like the next level nerdy stuff.
But really cool that we, have this as an option as we continue to world build and get deeper and deeper into the world of Coddlesworth and her circus. So we have talked a lot about the graphic novel, the series, the Kickstarter, the world, everything that's kind of going on with the main goal of this, which is the graphic series. But I want to kind of transition a little bit because and hear a little bit about the D&D campaign that you run that's set in this world.
Yeah, so Like Clockwork is our actual play. We play it on Sundays. I also am running for some of Rem Alternus's patrons another game that is twice a month that is also set in the world that is not televised. In our actual play, the idea is that this is a concurrent campaign. It is running alongside the stories that are being told in the graphic series. They're not crossing over. My plan is not to have them like fully cross over where you're working together with the circus at any time. But I do want there to be like Easter eggs kind of going back and forth, so that you as the players, because you're one of my players here, get to like see something and go, oh, hey, that's something that is in the book, the comic series, or something from the comic series that if people who are following the actual play can say, hey, that actually is this. And so they can sort of see how these stories are running parallel to each other.
Yeah, I really love Easter eggs in general and stuff, and building this in. I think my favorite that I've heard of that is at one point in the actual play campaign, we're crossing the desert in a caravan, and we look up and we see an airship. And then in the comic book, at one point, they're in the airship and looking down on the desert and see a caravan. And so there's like just those little Easter eggs of like, who's that? It's us. And I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, and that scene actually won't show up in the comics for a little bit, but it is. But that's definitely what happened there. There are characters that you have interacted with that will be in issue 2.
Ooh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and there are some places that just got made up by people randomly that will also be in the
Awesome.
in the book.
Awesome.
The tavern from issue 1 is the same tavern that the group is in the first couple of episodes of or couple of sessions of the actual play as well.
That's awesome. And you can catch up if you want to catch up on the actual play series. Our YouTube channel has all of our old episodes, and we've been releasing very slowly because it's my fault. Our preludes, which is kind of the backstory of each of the characters before they met and became a group. So there's a ton of content for this world that we're all building with Danny, and that's super exciting.
Yeah.
You can also watch us live every Sunday, mostly every Sunday, unless life happens, on Twitch at twitch.tv/Master of Rem. And that's on Sunday nights where we pick up with the live campaign. So once you're caught up, you can join us there. Also, we do have a good season 2 just started a couple of months ago. And we did kind of like a summary of what's happened so far, summary episode, while we're telling an ally about it. So you can also pick up fairly recent with season 2.
Yeah. And we play it every Sunday unless something comes up. Like recently we had this thing that everyone went to, and so we missed a couple episodes.
Ends with
it's a big convention.
NCon. Yeah. All I got.
Yeah, big convention.
Awesome. So we have talked, we're almost at the top of the hour. So let's put that Kickstarter link back up here again, because we kind of did a couple questions in one there. Where can we follow you to learn more about all that you do? And let's like hash in that Kickstarter link again so that we're never going to forget it, and we're going to go right now and back the Kickstarter, right, everyone? That would be ideal.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. Anyway, so you can find me on social media as @Coddlesworth. Pretty much plain and simple. Once I kind of started, when we did the first Kickstarter, I decided it would just probably be good for brand recognition to just make my handle be Coddlesworth everywhere. So like people see it's not a common sort of name. And by the way, good job saying it every single time so far. But it's not a common name. Yeah, now you're good. Now you're on the spot. It's not a common name, and it's just it people see it and they see the comic and they'll make the connection.
Right. I talk really fast, but I usually have to slow down and do that one at half speed because it's the hey everyone, go straight and check out the Kickstarter for Coddlesworth's Clockwork Circus.
Yes. It's a fun one. It's a fun one to say. Coddlesworth's Clockwork Circus.
Definitely. So cool. So we know where to find you. We've got the World Anvil. We've got the Kickstarter at realmalternus.com/kick. We made it easy so you don't have to type out Coddlesworth's Clockwork Circus. Uh, we've got Twitch every Sunday night. We've got YouTube to catch up on old videos of the series. And is there anything else you want to share about Coddlesworth?
I mean, I think we've hit all the points. I'm really excited that we're kickstarting issue 2. We have a $5,000 goal to have a successful campaign, but honestly, that amount is just going to allow us to kind of get started on issue 3. The amount that if we were to able to reach about 10,000, then that would we would be able to fully fund issue 3, get everything paid for, and get to that Kickstarter much faster than the time between 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's definitely helpful. And don't forget, we are currently at 2,865. It's gone up since the show started. So thank you guys so much. We're at 46 backers and 57% funded. And today is the last day for the early bird reward pricing. So if you want to check it out, usually the rewards, I have the page pulled up here, so I'm cheating here. The early bird reward is $15 for a physical copy of issue 2 and the PDFs for issue 1 and issue 2. Or if you aren't able to do the early bird, it goes up to $20 for the rest of the campaign. So if you do pledge today, you get $5 off, which is really nice. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Danny. It's always fun talking about this world. I think I've asked you these questions like 15,000 times at this point, and I never get bored of the answers, and I still find out new things. So it's always fun to talk about it.
Every time. So, thanks for having me, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this campaign plays out.
Awesome. Thank you. And we'll be right back. Stay with us. Last time on Shadowrun Emerald Glitch, after finishing a run for the Green Mansion, our runners had to lay low for a couple of weeks. Now, a TRID director has come calling. Why are Shadowrunners being hired by a production company? What happens when a different kind of spotlight shines on our runners? And who is the real Billy Berserker? Join us for the sequel trilogy in the next episode of Shadowrun 6th World Emerald Glitch, coming up next. And don't forget, we have a wonderful giveaway of a physical copy of Coddlesworth's Clockwork Circus, issue 1. And thank you so much to Danny for donating such a great prize. Enter to win by typing in #RemPC for free in the chat on Twitch right now. And that gets you one free entry. And you can get additional entries to win by going to www.remalternus.com/Nguyen. Or our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/remalternus. All donations help us pay our cast and crew and keep producing content. And our biggest donors can have a message read at the end of the episode by their favorite Shadowrunner. So check it out. Did you know also we have more shows like Shadowrun Emerald Glitch on our Twitch channel? We stream 5 to 6 days a week at www.twitch.tv/masterofrem. And that includes the Dresden Files RPG. We do Shadowrun 5th edition, Shadowrun 6th edition, like Clockwork, which is the actual play campaign of Coddlesworth's Clockwork Circus, and more. We're doing a streamathon in a couple weeks, so hang out in our Discord and come play with us. So check us out, give us a follow, and thank you all for joining. Next week, we will be talking with, I think I just subbed out. This is going to be a really exciting one. It's going to be Sarah Moore from Gen Con TV's Sarah's Table. So she's going to be joining me and we're going to be chatting, and it's going to be a great time because she is delightful. So we'll see you next week, everyone. Thanks for joining us, RemPCs.